Hello friends, today we are going to discuss some of the complexities involving the investments. So before we get into the complexities, let us try to understand what do you mean by investment. So the classical definition or the dictionary meaning of the investment is an act of putting money or the effort into something which will give you the profits or get some desired results. I think that definition is little complex. Let's put up a very simple definition, and particularly in the context of the financial investments. So my definition is pretty simple. The investment is the money that you don't require it today, but you want it in future. So you will keep it aside. So obviously when you keep that money aside, you would like that money to grow and be useful when you require that in future. So I would say that act of setting aside money so that it is safe and it grows and it meets your purpose in future, that activity we can call it as an investment. So what are the complexities involved in this investment process? Let's try to understand them. When we talk about the future expenses, let us try to understand some of the examples, and with those examples, we can understand the complexities involved. So, one such future example, rather, one such future expense is the marriage or the education of the kids. The other example is the down payment to be made for the purchasing of a house, or another example is the expenses which you want to keep it aside for your retired life. So these are some of the examples of the future expenses. However, there are two aspects to these future expenses. One is the timeline, and the second one is the quantum. So, how much money you need. For example, let's assume that you want to purchase a house worth say 50 lakh rupees, say 4 or 5 years down the line, and you want to keep aside say 20% of the money for the down payment, and rest of the money you want to use it for from the loan. So for 50 lakh rupees, you would set aside say 10 lakh rupees, and you will need that 10 lakh rupees say after 4 or 5 years. So that means the future expenses are pretty much clear. So you need 10 lakh rupees in say next 4 to 5 years, and you want to build that corpus. So this is a pretty much clear example. But if I ask you a question, how much money you need, how much corpus you want to set aside for your post-retirement life, I think this is where the things go very vague. As the time period or the time horizon is increasing and is pretty large, and there are a lot of unknowns also associated with that in terms of what my future expenses will be. So that's where the complexities will start increasing. Uh, some people will say that I want to keep aside 1 crore rupees. Some people will say 5 crore rupees. These are based upon some numbers which are purely on the hearsay, and there is no concrete definition. If you feel that you have a concrete definition of those and there is a proper rationale for that, I think this video is not meant for you. So you know where you want to go, you know what you want to do, etc. This video is for someone who is trying to figure out their financial journey and the future expenses. So let us try to understand the complexities of the both the areas. I think the timeline wise, everyone will have a fairly good idea in terms of what timelines are. So the complexity is more on the quantum. So what are the reasons for the complexities? One of the reasons for the complexity is the visibility of the cost. So for example, I really don't know what would be the cost of my monthly expenses when I retire. So I may have some rough idea, and that would be based upon today's expenses. But will I be able to forecast that if my retirement is say 20 or 25 years down the line? I think that visibility of that cost is one of the complexities. The second one is the time value of the money. So what I mean here is, let's say with 100 rupees, okay, whatever vegetables I could buy say 10 years back and what vegetables today I can buy, there is a huge difference. So if you had kept aside 100 rupees at that point of time, saying that I will be able to purchase vegetables for 1 week, and today if you go to the market, I don't think so you'll be able to purchase the vegetables worth maybe even 2 3 days. So that's the difference, and the reason for this deterioration of the value of the money is the inflation. The third complexity which arises is the changes in the lifestyle. So my lifestyle today is definitely different than what it was say 10 years back. So 10 years back I probably may not have the car to drive, but today I am driving in a car. So who knows, I mean, in next say 20 25 years what my lifestyle would be. So I may be staying today in a rented house, but tomorrow I may stay in my own house, and the expenses associated with both these lifestyles are completely different. So the changes in the lifestyle is another aspect which really increases the complexity of determining how much quantum you want to set aside for your future goals. Once you define the goals and once you know how much money you want, next question is how do you build that corpus? So basically, you want to set aside that money as an investment, and when you want to set aside, obviously you need to set aside in some places. Either you will be investing in the fixed deposits or some government schemes or the bonds or the stock market, mutual funds, ULIP, gold, etc. There are so many other options available for the investments. So there are a lot of complexities around that, and the first complexity is obviously the choices available. So right from the safe options like say bank deposits to the government schemes like say PPF, NSC, Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana, etc. Then there are other options like stock market where you can invest as a direct equity or via the mutual funds. Then there are some insurance policies. So these are all more or less liquid in investments. Then there are some illiquid investments like say investments in real estate, the homes or the land that you purchase, or you can go ahead and purchase gold either in the physical form or in the bonds. So that's the options available in terms of the investments is one of the first complexities. The second complexity is the mapping of the goal and the investment option. So a single goal, you typically will have multiple goals. Okay, so if you take one goal, say retirement, so the retirement corpus needs to be invested in multiple options. It's not like one-to-one mapping. You have one goal and you have one option. There are certain goals, of course. For example, you want to set aside money which you want in say next 1 year. So obviously you'll go ahead and put it in say fixed deposit. But certain goals which are of a long duration and also a large investment is required, that's where you need to put them into the multiple options. So let's take example of the retirement corpus itself. So retirement corpus will be part of your employee provident fund. Then there will be some money which you want to put as a part of pension plans. Then there will be some money set aside as a part of equity or the debt mutual funds, etc. Or you may invest into real estate, saying that in future I will sell off this land and get some money. So there are multiple ways in which the investments can happen. So there are multiple goals and then there are multiple options, and there is a many to many kind of a relationship. So that I would call as the second complexity involved. The third complexity is a little less understood and not much discussed, but it is about the emotional aspect of the investment. So there is a lot of anxiety involved in the investments. Typically, if the investments are in say stock market, okay, which are considered to be risky, at least in the short term, But again, the fixed deposits are also not devoid of the risks. Okay, so we are hearing the cases of banks going out of business, and the deposits which have been kept in the banks are getting wiped out as well. So there is definitely an anxiety which is associated with these investments, whether it's a small investment or whether it's a big investment. Obviously, there is an anxiety. Then there is another spectrum of the emotional play. I have come across certain people who, in their retired life, or they are near their retirement and their financial goals are almost met, but still they are actively participating in the stock market. And when I ask them the reasons, they are not able to articulate it well. But I guess, I mean, the roller coaster ride in the stock market helps them in terms of their emotional ups and downs, joys and the sorrows. So that emotional aspect is also playing a huge role in terms of the investments that they make. The last but not the least is the lack of knowledge. So we are really not trained, most of us are really not trained in the fundamentals of personal finance, and we are mostly carrying out our investment decisions as a herd mentality, being part of the friends, families, or the co-workers. So this is the lack of knowledge is one more complexity associated with the investment. So how do you address these complexities? How do you simplify your life? The answer is not so simple actually. So one needs to learn the basics of personal finance, and obviously there is no course that you can take up and learn the basics of personal finance. So it's an individual journey, like spirituality. It's one needs to walk their own path basically. And as you are walking the path, you will keep learning, and there will be a lot of experiences that you will gather through this journey, and you will do the course correction. Of course, certain reading will definitely help, but it's mostly the individual experiential journey that is essential. So if you start early, I think that really helps in terms of getting those experiences early. Okay, so in your early part of your life, your corpus is also small, the cost of making mistake is also small. So if you make the mistakes at the fag end of your life and the corpus has really grown big, the impact of that mistake is quite large. So my suggestion is to start early. And if you are already started your career, and if you are started your life, and somewhere in the mid say 40s etc., you are and you feel not comfortable in starting your journey today, it is better to take help of the financial advisors. But how do you get a good financial advisor? I think it's as complex as finding a guru on your spiritual journey. So yes, these are some of the complexities associated with the investments, but it's an interesting journey, and it's an individual journey too.